All right, so what I did is I thought about what was the most interesting aspect of some research that I had already been doing about teacher expectation, and I had read so much stuff about how there were such gaps for certain sets of students. And so what I decided to do this paper was explore those gaps and some possible problems that cause the gaps and maybe some solutions for these. And so I looked at the achievement gap specifically for race, gender, and SES. And I just explored those areas for science and mathematics. And oh wow, there was a lot of problems there. Um, but then I decided to also look at some of the possible problems. Like why would these sets of students perform so low when they enter school? Because I did find this in the research. There were so many kids that enter school and they're on level or at higher levels than the Caucasian males that actually dominate by the end of their high school career. And I said, well, why would this happen? Like, how do you go to school and you don't become more knowledgeable? Instead, you digress. So I looked at some possible problems. And so, again, I explored biases as it pertains to science and math and how they affect or impact teachers' expectations for students. And then I found that from some of these expectations that teachers had low challenge classrooms for math, which caused students to perform at lower levels, even though they had entered teachers' classrooms at a higher achievement level than what they left with, which was kind of insane. And at the same time, I looked at how biases impact expectations and how that impacts students' self-efficacy and their confidence levels. And I found research where students actually had higher anxiety in mathematics because of their low expectant teachers. And that low expectancy actually made students feel like they were not worthy or capable, and so it actually increased their anxiety. And so then I decided to go a little further into SES and look at how SES limits resources for students in math and science. And I found that those students were limited with knowledge, partially because their parents didn't have the financial resources needed to be able to get them into after-school programs or summer programs or tutoring, or because they were having to work so much, they weren't able to help students with homework, and how all of this impacted students' achievement and their knowledge and their self-efficacy, and how that in return actually caused some students not to access advanced courses because they didn't have a strong enough knowledge base. So by the time they were in high school, they decided that doing a STEM field was not their thing, because first they hadn't had the courses that they needed, and two, they had spent all this time not feeling prepared or empowered in the STEM field. And so from there, I decided that I was going to dig into some programs that might have helped these problems, or programs that actually target these specific students from these areas and actually have improved their science and math or STEM knowledge. And so I found two really great journal articles or well, they were journal research things. And one was called Project Excite, and the other was a summer STEM program. And so what was very interesting is that they targeted specific populations that I also targeted with the Achievement Gap, and they followed them over time and did things that like enrichment or tutoring, so on and so on, and actually improved students' knowledge, self-efficacy, confidence levels, so on and so on, so that these kids had better opportunities and achieved at higher levels. Okay, so my 3 minutes plus 3 minutes is up. Thanks.